I was 6 when my chair locked up in the middle of Grant Park, the left wheel shrieking against a crack, while the world moved around me like I was scenery joggers, cut wide. A mom pulled her kid close and a little pack of boys circled, like they smelled fear, laughing and pointing. Like my life was a joke, I said, "Please." And it came out, barely a breath, and that's the moment. A shadow fell over me and a tall man in a navy coat crouched down like I mattered. Not asking for a parent, not patting my head, just saying, "Hey, you're not alone, let me see what's going on." He pulled a multi-tool from his pocket, like a secret he carried for days. Like this, straightened the bent axle, checked the bolt, and said, "Try it now." And when the chair rolled clean, I felt the relief hit my chest like warm air after winter. "Thank you," I said. "I'm Zuri," and he said, "I'm Cole Harrington. Can I walk you home just to make sure you get there safe?" And I should have said no, because we're careful where I'm from. But he pushed from behind, in this gentle way, not steering, just steady, and we left the trees for cracked sidewalks and the kind of brick that remembers everything. Folks stared because of who he looked like and what I looked like, you know what I mean? Someone muttered, "Showing off." Another said, "Probably for a photo." I stared straight ahead, chin up, because that's how my mama raised me. Cole knelt again at my stoop, so we were eye to eye, and said, "You're stronger than they know." I didn't fully get it, but I wanted to before he left. I told him one day, "I'll help you too," and he smiled like a man who doesn't do that much, and said, "I'll hold you to it." He came back, no cameras, no entourage, just him, and that tool pushed me up dead elevators and uneven stairs, while Mama stood in her hotel uniform at the door, trying to choose between "thank you" and "please don't bring trouble here," he said, just making sure she got home. And that became a rhythm, him showing up with a sketch pad, because he somehow already knew I drew to quiet my brain, him sitting on the stoop, telling me about his dad, the mechanic, and how tools can fix or control. And you have to decide, him not talking like a billionaire, more like a kid who earned his place in rooms designed to chew him up. But the block was the block. Some neighbors nodded, some spit words like seeds, and those boys who mocked my chair started mocking me for knowing him. "You think you special." "Now, hero girl," one of them hissed. I shot back. "I don't need him here to know who I am," I said it out loud, and prayed my heart caught up. Then came the gala at the Lakeshore Grand chandeliers, like galaxies, tiny plates with big names. Mama grabbed a double shift serving, and they let me help pass water if I stayed quiet, and moved smart, so I wore a slightly too big blue dress and tied the ribbon tight. And when I spotted Cole across the room, standing like a lighthouse in a sea of perfume, he headed straight toward me like I was why he showed up. People stared hard. Someone whispered, "That's Mr. Untouchable making a show." Cole crouched like always and asked if I needed a hand with the tray. I said, "I got it." He grinned. "Oh, I just like standing near brave people." And that was the second I saw a stranger's hand tilt a tiny vial over a glass of amber on a passing tray, quick and casual, like he practiced in a mirror. The hand vanished. The tray drifted toward Cole carpet, grabbed my wheels like a bad dream, and I shoved and finally broke through. "Don't drink that!" I yelled, and the orchestra stumbled for a heartbeat. Heads turned. A woman hissed. "This is not the time," someone said. "Get her out." Cole's hand hovered at the rim. My voice came out steady. "It's bad. I saw him put something in it." Security looked to Cole. Cole looked at me like a man reading a message meant for him. "Test it," he said. Minutes felt like years. The guard came back, pale, and suddenly the room exploded. Chairs scraped, people screamed the way rich people do when they remember life has teeth. The man ran, guards chased. He hit the hallway. They grabbed him, and I sat shaking in the center of a circle of diamond light. and held my breath until Cole knelt, lowered his voice like the truth was fragile. "You saved my life," and I said, "I told you I'd help you one day." And he whispered, "You kept the receipt." Headlines hit like a storm that doesn't ask permission. Hero girl saves, billionaire Bronzeville. Angel stops poison. Plot, then the mean cousins showed up. Stunt, hoax, sympathy, play on my block. Cameras swarmed, neighbors split into the proud. The curious, the furious at school. Those same kids who laughed at my wheels, now laughed at my face. "Bet he paid you, bet you made it up, yeah." That happened. Mama started sleeping in her shoes by the door, like she was ready to move me through fire. Cole did the thing men like him can do. He made calls, and one morning a quiet security team arrived. Coats hiding muscle eyes that didn't blink much. Mama said, "You can't turn our home into a fortress. You do this and we'll never be normal again." Cole didn't argue with her. He asked me, "Zuri, do you feel safer with them outside?" I nodded, "Yes." "Because it means you're here even when you're not," Mama sighed. The kind of sigh that's half surrender, half prayer. A bottle blew apart against our building one night. Flame-licked old brick neighbors smothered it with water and curses. A man across the street shouted, "You brought trouble, take your fairy tale somewhere else," and I watched Cole step forward like a wall with a heartbeat, not yelling. Just there, and money can't fake that. The hospital checked him the next morning because his blood pressure spiked like anger. "We brought cookies because sweetness belongs in rooms with beeping machines," he asked. "Do you ever get scared?" I said. "Being scared doesn't mean you're weak. Mama says it means you're still alive." He looked at her like a boardroom never taught him anything. That true, then the grainy photos showed up men in cars that didn't belong to our street. And Cole had to choose between calming investors and standing in the doorway with us, his board told him. He looked vulnerable, his number two, Bennett said. "This girl is in every headline, you look dependent." Cole said, "If protecting a 6-year-old makes me look weak, then strength needs a new definition," and that was that. The night it broke open, the block felt like a dare. SUVs hummed. Low kids went inside early. I was at our table drawing a picture of me, Mama, and Cole holding hands under a sun that looked like a gold button. And then tires screeched. Doors slammed fast. Figures moved like they had a plan. Guards met them at the curb. Voices crashed. Someone rushed Cole with a knife, and I watched him catch the wrist. Turn it, the blade kissed concrete. Police sirens closed in, the attackers scattered like roaches. When the light comes on, the air tasted like scorched glass and old anger. My hands shook, Cole's chest heaved. Mama's eyes were wet but sharp. "You didn't let them take me," I said. And he answered, rough and simple, "I never will." And somehow the street shifted, not a miracle, just the tiniest tilt toward human. A woman who'd called me names under her breath gave a nod. An old man muttered, "Okay, okay." That weekend, Cole stood in the middle of the block as the sun fell between buildings and said, "You can hate me for being rich. You can mistrust me for standing here, that's your right. But this child saved my life. I will protect her, not for cameras, not for brand, but because justice has to start somewhere tonight. It starts here," someone yelled. "Go home, Mr. Money," Cole said. "I am home when I keep my word." Then he came upstairs for Mama's soup and ate like the world still made sense, and I asked, "Are we family now?" And he squeezed my hand and said, "Yes, Zuri, we are. If you want the neat version. This isn't it. The city doesn't do tidy for girls like me." Cameras kept coming. Investors pulled out of one of his deals, Bennett told him. "You're risking everything for her," Cole said. For her, and meant not me as an object, but the principle living under my ribs, that a small voice saw what a ballroom refused to see. The cops said, "Isolated." Plot like that word fixes anything. Cole didn't care about their podiums. He cared about walking me to class and giving bullies a smile that said, "Try me." He cared about sitting on the stoop at dusk while I read him my story. About stopping a storm with a cup. He replaced the busted entry light because knives, like shadows, even fixed the mailbox that never shut. Tiny things, quiet things, the kind that make a place breathe again. And I kept drawing. Only now my chair had wings because some things refused to stay down, you know what I mean? And sometimes at night, when the block is finally still, I think about how the world tried to define me as a problem, to go around, and how a man crouched to see me better, and how later in a room full of diamonds, I stood up inside myself and made them see me too. So yeah, I saved a billionaire. But the headline I keep is smaller and heavier. I saved the part of me that believes I can move something bigger than my own life. And he saved the part of himself that wanted to be more than untouchable. He chose responsibility. That's a different kind of power. Was he right to step onto our block? Or did he cross a line rich people shouldn't cross? Were my neighbors right to be afraid? Or was fear just covering something uglier? And what about that ballroom full of adults who looked away while a child saw the whole thing? You ever watch a room ignore the obvious because it was inconvenient? Tell me in the comments where you're watching, from what you think is right or wrong here, what you've seen on your own street. And if this hit you anywhere under the ribs, like and subscribe so we can keep telling the messy stories that change more than headlines. Because nobody is too small to make a difference, and nobody is too big to be held to it.